السلام حياة قد جاء في القرآن أن السلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this week's show of iTREND on ITV. I'm your host, Zaheerah Bham Ismail. Today in my studio with me is one of my absolute favorite guests. You see her here all the time, and we couldn't wait to have her back again this year. DIY with Al. Hello, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much.
You always are this vibrant energy coming in here. You look like you've come back from a fabulous holiday, looking all relaxed.
Well,
and must be the only person in Johannesburg that looks relaxed at this point.
And considering I was in traffic just now, I'm actually I'll take that as a compliment. So thank you so much for having me back. I love being here on iTrend and sharing just enthusiasm and hopefully inspiring your viewers.
I have no doubt you will. We love following you. We love watching what you do. And every time you come on, there's always never enough time to get into what we're doing.
I know, so I tried to simplify it because, I'm packing my car for today's show, and I'm like, with the DIY prep, and I'm like, I want to show them this, I want to show them that, I want to do this, and then I'm like, no, just calm down. We always run out of time, and then we end up pushing through it. No, I want to take our time and actually complete something today and chat.
So let's go ahead and get started. And while we're chatting, we'll talk a little bit about what you've got in store for us.
Yes, okay, great. So one of my favorite things about DIY, and I've said this before on your show, and you love it too, is upcycling. So
yes.
It's using stuff that you would just throw away or you see no use for it and turning it into something beautiful and useful. So whether you're a woodworker and you're a huge DIY enthusiast like me, and you might have these are called off-cut pieces of wood.
Yes, I think everyone's got some of this lying around somewhere.
Some of this lying around somewhere. Maybe your dad or brother is a woodworker, and they have a box. Usually, I have a box in my studio, and I just chuck them in there. It's when you're making projects, and it's the offcuts, the centimeters and the little pieces of wood.
Except most people's don't look as neat as yours do.
Well, no. Well, look here. This one's a bit but you can always do something with it. So never throw it away. So this is where I'm going with this, and then you can make something really pretty and rustic. Like, should we show the end piece where we're getting to? So can you guess what that is, or?
I can. I need this because I need a notice board that I can put up and just stick things onto all the time.
Okay, cool. So you get it. It is a notice board.
That means you're very good at DIY because I knew what it was.
I was like, it's a tray. I was going to go, no. But you can also
clip in our pictures.
Clip it in there. That's my little dog, Sid.
There we go.
So I bought some
and this actually works also as a nice frame to hang up because you can keep changing the picture as you need to. Very clever.
Ooh, we're going to have fun today. So basically you can make that any size you want, but I have measured it to be 24 centimeters length and width. And then the two top crossbars are a bit shorter, about 23, 22 centimeters.
Perfect.
So those are the, if you guys want to write it down and you want to create this right now with us, or you want to do it on the weekend. So again, off-cut pieces of wood, grab them. Obviously you can make lines and measurements for it to fit. And obviously different lengths, so then you would have to cut, so if you're trying to recreate those three pieces of wood, you'd obviously see that one there is a bit long. And you can just cut it with a jigsaw or a handsaw. It's not that difficult, but I'm guessing you're not that lucky where they'll just all line up like what I have here.
Voila, there we go.
I doubt that
magic.
I doubt that would happen unless you have to dig through a lot. So what you do is you have your 24 centimeter measurement, and what you're going to do is I've already pre-done this, but you would all your little jagged pieces of wood, you would try and see where you need to cut, make a line, and cut it, obviously. And then what I love about this DIY is I didn't want to drag the power tools back into the studio, and then we need to find plug points and put glasses on. We'll save that for maybe another time. Okay. But all you need for this is wood glue. Can you believe it?
You make things very easy.
This is this little project here. You need your hands, you need some spray paint, you need wood glue and hand tools. That's all. And I said you can get away with a handsaw, so no power tools needed.
What I like about this is besides doing this as a weekend activity for yourself, your kids can also do this as something for one of their entrepreneur activities.
Exactly, or their bedroom, and then they've created it, or a gift. I mean, it's just so, and that is obviously stationery from any
of this stuff. Okay, so what do we do here? We're basically gluing.
All right. So what you're doing is you're going to glue them all together, and guys, you'll be surprised. Wood glue is just one of those things. I know when you're making furniture and stuff, you would use wood glue as well as secure it with wood screws. Okay, but because that's not a table, it's not taking on anything heavy, it's merely hanging on the wall, I decided to opt with just wood glue. So here we go. So you stick it together, and then you just, with either a cloth,
and we even organized. We have cloths.
Well, yeah, rags. You can never have enough rags in a DIY studio, right? And then you grab your other one like this. And you always just put it on one side. Don't be too heavy-handed with the glue because it's just going to, you know, spurt out when you squash it together. Can you see? And then you don't want too much over.
Yes.
Right, now here's what I want you to do is obviously you would have, like you have now, a sheet drop down. Can I just reach over and grab my clamp? Oh, look at this baby.
That looks serious.
So now, not everyone has these clamps.
No, I don't think this is something we have lying around the house.
This is something you probably don't have lying around the house. Let me just show you how cool it works. It works on a clamping mechanism, and what you would do is you would take it actually more to the center, and what that does is it just makes contact. Okay, because this glue needs to dry. It's 10 minutes to cure, and maybe give it 12 hours to really be solid that you can maneuver it around and stuff. So if you don't have a clamp, it's all right. You just put it aside somewhere where it's not disturbed.
And I think that's important because very often we want to rush through projects and we don't realize we actually have to plan this and wait at least the 12 hours for this to be solid.
Exactly. There's a lot of patience in DIY. It doesn't just happen.
Not as easy as she makes it look.
You don't just happen overnight. So
but
there we go.
At home, if you don't have that, I'm sure if you put it between something solid on either
something
side.
Something heavy on top. A book or something, you know,
just to make it hold.
Just to make sure that there's always contact, because the thing is, if it pulls away, then the glue is not like I wish they had miracle glue like that brings it together. But it just needs to be in contact and undisturbed for about 12 hours, right? So let's put this in the oven. This is what I do.
There we go.
This is going in the oven. No, I'm joking. So that would take 12 hours. We don't have 12 hours on the show. So I've already, it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
This is what I love about wood glue is you, for smaller projects that you're not like sitting on, or it's not a table, and something like this, you know, you can't just wood glue something like this. You take a huge risk in it falling apart one day. So that's why wood glue and screws, you can imagine.
Solid. This is really solid. Yeah. This is making it very easy because you actually can't separate this at all. So this is 12 hours later and a very solid piece put together.
Can I just give a tip, because it's so cool, these tips, and I've tried them and they work. So when you said you can't separate it, you actually could with a lot of force, like if you threw it down you would, and then it would probably break and stuff. But if you glued this wrong, there's a little tip. Nail polish remover.
Really?
I'm not even joking.
And that just softens that up.
And then you pour it on the groove, and eventually it probably disintegrates the glue, and then next minute you pull apart and you can re-glue it. So if you've glued this wrong, where this guy is up a bit and you're like, oh no, and then it's dried and you only notice it afterwards, you can always go in with a bit of nail polish remover.
See, we learn tips and tricks every day.
Awesome. And you know what? I thought like Pinterest was lying when I saw that. So I was like, no, I have to try it. And I actually did a project. I think it was like the frame of a tray before I would screw it in. And I was like, no, this has to work because I don't want to like waste wood. And I literally poured it on the joins and then wiggled it a bit. And,
I love it. Brilliant.
So next is your I call them their crossbars. Now, why this works with just wood glue is you don't just have these straight pieces which could come apart in time, but what you're doing is you're making it extra strong by not only joining this way, but you securing it across another, so these are going this way and this is going this way, so it means like it's very secure. So again, wood glue. I even wrote here dud and stuff like that. So you can literally see this is really off-cut pieces of wood that you would just throw away. See, they got staples in from a previous job.
And I suppose also if you don't have things like this at home, make sure you just get to a builder close by or to somebody who does a lot of handiwork, to a carpenter, anybody close by who I'm sure is willing to let go of all the junk.
You know what? Builders also sell these in like 1.8 meter, like this tall, and you could, if you're really, really keen, you could just use sections of it, cut it to size, and then they sell thicker ones to this in like a long strip of 1.2 is I think the smallest amount. They were literally so inexpensive. I think the one was 45 Rand, the other one was like 60 Rand for the slightly wider one.
And they cut it there for you as well.
And they cut it there for you.
Brilliant.
So give them your measurements and go, I need 5, and depends how many you're making, because you could make 3 of these in a row to really, you know, draw out the eye and help with the decoration. So basically you go to the guy, I need 6 of these and 6 of these, you know, to make how many your 3 is. He cuts them for you, you walk out, so you don't even have to salvage wood.
And you could look like a DIY professional because you could literally sit there and do it immediately.
Exactly. So that's a great thing that builders offer, is wood cutting for you, so you don't even have to sit with a saw or a tool. And then what I'm doing, again, is one of my favorite things, is I'm just eyeballing. And people are like, no, don't eyeball. My husband hates that. He measures everything.
We don't have time for measurements.
And I'm like, we don't have time for measurement. I look and I go, I like where it's sitting. It's more or less, see when it's disturbed, it'll move and then it'll glow that way. So what you'd have to do is set it aside, and I promise you, now you're left with more or less.
Basically that. So that was actually quite quick, because all Al's done is put the 3 together, where you wait for 12 hours for it to dry with just simple wood glue. We've then got the top and the bottom, which we've now glued on and waiting to dry.
Well, you don't necessarily have to wait. You don't necessarily have to wait for this 12 hours and then this 12 hours. I'm meaning the glue on a whole. So
you can put the whole thing together and let it wait.
Put the thing together somewhere where it's not going to be disturbed, or with a clamp, and then you place the ones on top, and then you can leave the whole project for about 12 hours, and then come back in the morning and be like, okay, right, for the next step. Okay, so the next step is, as you can see, I mean, this is some melamine wood mixed with some pine wood, and you know, off-cut pieces of wood are not the prettiest looking things. I mean, look, sometimes they, you know, they really get damaged and they're ugly. So the best thing to do is not to sand and waste your time. I think just go ahead and you paint this whatever color.
And I think that's it. You can paint and do any wash that you want on it.
Any wash.
Even spray paint.
Okay, because it's a small item, you know, I just hate getting the paintbrush out and
let's just make it as easy as
and then
possible.
cleaning paintbrushes. So I am a spray paint queen.
Fantastic. But we've got to take a very, very quick ad break, and I know we're almost at the end of this. I was hoping we actually get it done before the ad break, but stay tuned. When we come back, we'll finish up with this activity and then show you the next one. We're getting very handsy today with DIY with Elle. We always love having her in studio, and right now we need to be completing our very entertaining project that we've got. If you have a look here, we've also changed the picture, so this is something that you could do at home. And as we said, your kids can also do this as an entrepreneurial activity, where they could make this to sell at school, also in very different sizes. You can use it as a notice board, you can use it as a picture holder, and as Elle suggested, you could make 3 of them and then line them up so that it becomes an eyepiece as people walk in.
Yes, so you could have 1 if you have a smaller set of the wall, or 3 or 4, or down the entire length of a wall, so 5 or 6, because it would become a gallery then. It's just a mechanism to showpiece your picture, right? And like, I love that thing that you said about the kids with school. So that's how I started out, guys. I can't even tell you, no lie. I'll maybe put it up on my social media today so you can follow.
You need to do that.
DIY with Elle is... It's a terrible photo, so I'll take a photo of a photo, because you know we used to like get the photos done. Is I actually bought a whole lot of cell phone holders back in the day, wooden ones, and I decorated each one and I sold them at my school fair when I was like 13, 14.
But that's exactly how it starts. I mean, you realize that all the kids are always looking for something to do. All you have to do is follow her page or watch the show when she's on, and you'll always find something for your kids to make and sell.
And you know what? That's pretty... I mean, this you could find in a home store. I'm not I'm not just saying it because it's mine. But you could find this in a home store. It's very rustic. It's like palette looking. It's very farmhouse looking. And you know what? It's just wood glue and some offcuts pieces of wood and your creativity, and kids. This is kid friendly with adult supervision, depending on the age.
Or depending on, some adults need kids supervision.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a little bit of kid creativity, so you can.
Absolutely.
All right. So this is already. See what I say when it takes 10 minutes to
just
make contact, and then 12. But let's just get to the nice stuff now. So like I said, you can paint this, and paint goes a longer way than spray paint, but then you have to clean the paintbrush and Yeah.
So we don't have time for that today. While you're doing this, Al, are there specific paints that we're able to use on wood or paints?
Okay, so if your wood is all the same, so if we look at the back here, I didn't mix woods. Here, this one on the table, I'm mixing different woods. So this one, as you can see, it's all pine. And I could have not sprayed this a color, I could have stained it.
Yes.
So you can wood stain it, leave it bare if you want. If your offcut pieces of wood or your new wood looks nice enough, you can leave it and then just seal it if you want. But because it's indoors, you wouldn't even have to seal it because it's not coming into contact with rain. Unless you have a leaky roof over your
Hopefully
lounge.
not.
Hopefully not. So, and then this one, because it is different pieces of wood and it just doesn't look nice on its own, I would suggest spray paint usually goes onto wood really, really well. You don't need a primer with most of them. These are two good ones that you get at Builders, Spraymate and Rust-Oleum. This one is a chalk. Actually, I used both on that one.
Yeah.
So I used a mixture of both the grey and the light grey just to give it a bit of dimension so you can let your creativity run wild. Okay,
Literally.
This is what I love about it's fun building the stuff and making it, but then once you get into the prettying it up, the making it look like it's store-bought, I mean, this is fantastic. So you can use any paint you want. I'm talking paint, also paint, chalk paint.
Perfect.
Crafters paint, you know, the little tubs of crafters paint. Go straight ahead. It will cover it. Don't even worry about it. So let's just, I think I'm going to use this one because I was shaking it in the ag break. Should we talk about spray painting tips?
Yes, please. So while you're doing it, go ahead.
You know what's funny is people come up to me when I'm doing DIY and I'm a spray paint addict, right? I feel like I should go to a group and go, hi, my name's Elle.
I'm addicted to spray
painting stuff because when I have one of these in my hand, my husband's like, no, don't spray paint, don't spray paint.
It
Not
makes
many
it easier.
people spray paint. Not many people have actually.
Because Al, they're probably far more creative than you and I, and they have time to do this.
Yeah, but they come to me and they're like, I've never spray painted. I'm like, what? You don't know what you're missing. It's therapeutic. It's amazing. So
DIY for dummies.
yeah. So you got to shake the can vigorously. There's a marble in the can that mixes the paint together, and don't even try to get this out and try and see the marble. That's just never going to happen. Just use your imagination.
And she's probably saying that because she's tried that herself.
Right, you give it a good shake and then you hold it. You obviously use newspaper to protect your work surface or a drop sheet, which I have lots of. They come in so handy. Because you'll be surprised on, it's called overspray. It's you think you're spraying here,
but you're doing it everywhere else.
So yeah, on my mom's garage floor once, I was so lazy, I only put a little bit of protective coat, and then I'm spray painting and you're doing this and the wind comes, and the next minute when I removed, it's faint, but when you remove your protective you actually have this square line. Then you have to get some turps, so it's just extra work. So always make sure you have a bigger surface area. Hold the spray paint can.
Should I be moving away from you?
Yeah,
I think
clothing's too nice, but we could
we've got a very nice sponsor
design
for it.
No, you don't have to move away. All right, so here we go. Is basically you hold it 15 to about 30 centimeters.
Okay.
But I'm going to go in at 15 because we're in a small space here. And always make sure your room is well ventilated, so open up some windows or use a mask. You don't want to, spray paint headaches are real, people. They are a real thing. Trust a DIYer. I've come home from spray painting in the garage room. I'm like, oh, I've got such a headache. And I'm like, no, I know what it was. I was spray painting all day. So 15 centimeters, light horizontal or vertical strokes. And can you smell that already?
And she makes it very easy.
It's all in the wrist.
It's all in the
wrist.
All right. So this part comes very easy. Once we spray painted it, how long does it take to dry? Very quick.
Spray paint. What I love about spray paint, it takes very quick. I know. Can you smell that? So I only did. You can see on camera. We can just lift this up and I'll show you the coverage. That was one coat, guys. So you let that dry and it dries really, really quickly, and the next minute you go on your second coat and then you're done. So 2 coats of spray paint. Perfect. I already have left over from that one.
Yes.
So it goes a long way. This is a project that isn't expensive at all. So that'll dry in about 5 to 10 minutes. You go on with a second coat and then you you can see the thing with spray paint is don't go dabbing because you're going to get those finger marks. Okay?
Yes.
When it looks glossy, it's wet. And then when it goes matte, it's dry. So when you start seeing it not give so much sheen, then you can tap and go, oh, okay, now it's ready for the next stage. The next stage is the hanging it up mechanism.
Ah.
Oh,
No,
yes.
this.
Okay, so once it is dry, you are quite right. You take a bit
I'll be
of
taking
glue.
over her show.
You take a bit of glue and then this
And this here
stationary
we're doing-
bulldog clip here.
Any glue.
Okay, well, I like this glue by Alkaline.
Yeah.
It's super strong, and exactly. You can see you have a crafty hand there.
I've learned so
Hey,
well.
right?
Whenever you've been on the show and I've said I'm just not a creative person, I've had people message me to say, can you please stop saying that you're not creative?
Because she is creative.
No, I'm not, but I'm not going to say that anymore.
All right, so here we go. Look at that. You just, again, I eyeballed it. If you want to measure equal distances, you can. What I love about this glue is it's clear. So once it dries, you're not going to see any mess of the glue from under the bulldog clip and stuff like that. So that's your next phase after it's covered. And then the final phase is now you need to put this on the wall. And I have two options here for you. Two options. If you want to go even more rustic like our demo model over there, you can. I like the whole rope thing. I think it adds to the whole rustic element.
And this is what we're seeing also in many of the stores.
Exactly. So let's talk about that option first. It's these little eye hooks. I think they're called small ones. I don't know what these are used for, but you can get the open ones and then you can just close them as well. If you have those at home, you just, with some pliers, just squeeze it so it's closed. And then what's awesome is with your hand, literally, like I'll show you, with your hand, let me not use a hole and get lazy, but like you can, let me try to show you this. You just need a hole, you just need to find traction, and then the next minute the threading does the work for you. Hold on. I always do
Almost
this.
there.
Yep. There we go. And it's finding traction. And
Brilliant.
then you keep turning it in until it's all the way down. So you just need some elbow grease, and that, put two on the side, grab some string, cut it to size however long you want to do it. It's your creativity. Then the other option is, I always love these sawtooth hangers.
Right.
And what that does is you use two baby screws here, and then you apply that to the back. So if you don't want it hanging,
You can actually put it up as a frame.
Yes, just like a frame, it will hang on a hook the same, but you won't have the string element. So those are two ways to hang this in your home. And literally, those are all the elements that you need, all the materials you'll need, hand tools, leftover wood, new wood, it's up to you. And like you say, you just print your little pictures.
And change it as often as you want. And I think also, especially to get people creative, the one thing a friend of mine always says to me is she remembers growing up always doing things in the home as gifts when they visited people, whether it was baking or making something personal. And these days we're so busy rushing out to buy something that to actually get your kids to make something special for someone, or even for you to take the time out to make something special.
Exactly. I cannot tell you that, I started off in my high school career making a lot of my friends' gifts. Like my one friend moved out into a first place when we just finished school, so we were 18. And I bought a secondhand mirror and I stuck rocks on it with pebbles, and I really embellished it nicely. And I gave that to her. When you're in school and that, even as an adult, sometimes you don't always have the budget. And you know what? People appreciate handmade gifts more than you think.
And also it's a personal touch. It's something you sent. But most of your friends would still love you. Mine wouldn't love me after I send them something I make. Tell us about, many of us, for decor for our homes, have these pots lying around, have things around our home, but it looks dated. Do we need to be going out to buy something new to redo our homes to make it look a little bit more up?
Yes,
and fresh?
You know what? I believe anything, no matter how ugly it is, it can be made beautiful with the right product, right knowledge, and a bit of tender loving care and attention. Just like these pieces of wood now. We're basically going to have 3 by the end of today and then hang them up.
There we go.
Product knowledge is one of I feel, if I don't know what new products are at builders and what, paint companies are coming up with, then I don't know to use that, and then it limits me in my DIY.
Yes.
So for me, I always try and not only tell people how to do projects, but I also try and tell people the latest products there. They've come up with water-based enamel. Okay, just for an example. Remember back in the day, it was either PVA or enamel, and if you wanted the enamel look, you'd sit there with turps. And now it's water-based, which means you run it under a tap, clean. Yeah, so those things that are happening now, even they're coming up with water-based enamel paint for metal. So your palisades and that. The guy came up to me from, I think it was Plascon, he was like, Look at this. So what I want to show you is this product I found at Builders. Guys.
Pot paint. I love it.
Pot paint. You know what? The companies are coming out with such specific products, right? Pot paint, Snow White, for plastic, masonry, and ceramic pots. Let me show you what this does. Just have a feel.
Oh, wow. And this is just plastic.
This is just plastic. Oh my gosh, I get so excited. I'm such a nerd.
This is why we have to keep getting her back into studio, because there's always so much to talk about and it never ends. So we've got to rush through this.
Yes.
And I promise you we're making sure she's back on, or we'll do an outside shoot where we can actually sit with all her jigsaws.
Let me just tell you about this product.
Please do.
Okay, so quick. How much time do we have?
No, we've got a minute. So you
all
go.
Right, a minute. To sell you on this. Guys, I'm not endorsed by this product. I just love things that work, okay? So this pot paint, I was like, all right, let me try it out. And the thing is, this is plastic terracotta pots. I love them. They're inexpensive. They're great to put your pots on, but they look cheap. They look plasticky, and sometimes that's not the look I want. So when you open this guy over here, I can't tell you, it don't need a primer. You grab your paintbrush, you put it in, and it goes straight onto the pot. Now, the funny thing with DIY and plastics is sometimes paint just slides off it. This one sticks, and then it gives, can you feel that? It gives a rough edge, and then look, it looks like a stone pot.
Awesome. So what we're going to do, I know sitting with Elle is always a wealth of information, and we keep telling her we need her for an entire show because we can never get enough of her. But I do promise you we will make sure she's back on soon. If you are doing any of these, whether it's the pot paints or the frames, do tag us in your pictures, follow Elle on her page, and I promise you will be very, very inspired. I'll be making sure my kids are getting busy with these activities over this weekend.
Yes.
Elle, thank you so much for joining us. We love having you.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We have a fabulous lady coming onto the show straight after the ad break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back after that ad break. It's always fabulous having Elle in the studio doing DIY with us and getting the creative side of us going. Being in keeping with International Women's Month, we have such a wealth of dynamic and fabulous women around us. And one of these women is none other than Shaista Khan Osman. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the studio.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Shaista, you are a woman that carries so many titles. You are a director at Blue Blood Entertainment. You are a director of Commonwealth Businesswomen for Africa. And you also head up the National Leadership Group for South Africa for Commonwealth. How do you manage all of this?
Firstly, I need to be walking around with you everywhere. You just said that so perfectly. Thank you. Well, in true form of every woman across the globe, we tend to be good jugglers. And in saying that, I have an amazing support system and an amazing team. Within the Commonwealth family, we have 4 directors that are, well, we are 4 directors more so. And that is an amazing, amazing team of women. They really are going to be changing the world. We are all going to be changing the world. Within South Africa, it is a challenge, but I am going to be looking forward to talking a little bit more about that. And with Blue Blood South Africa, that is my baby. That is my absolute pet project. I am the founder of Blue Blood, but I cannot do it without my husband, Osman, who is...
And we all know Osman as the just 15 minutes.
Oh, 100%. You know, Riyad Musa has really kind of given him that name.
Absolutely.
As the 15-minute guy. And he is always, you know, I mean,
Absolutely.
he's always 15 minutes around the corner. He's always 15 minutes away. He'll do everything for you in 15 minutes. So, yeah. But coming back to us women.
Yes, coming back to that.
So, Blue Blood is an amazing brand, and it's only through the grace of the Almighty that it has, alhamdulillah, reached the heights that it has reached thus far. And we are really looking to take it to the skies.
But that's the one thing that has stood out for me in my interactions with you. I've watched you very closely over the last few months. You're someone who is so passionate about what you do, and I see it in everything that you do, and it comes across so strongly, whether it's your relationships with people, whether it's your interactions, whether it's work you do. There's this passion about it. I have to ask you, is this something that's innate? Is this something that you've always been like growing up? Or is this something that you surround yourself with because of things that you love doing?
You know, I have to actually compliment my mum and dad for that. They were people who, are people who, they're retired now, that's why I say were. But they are people who were very passionate about what they did. My dad was an artisan of roofing and carpentry and building, and he was just passionate. So although we asked him to retire, he never wanted to because he was just passionate about what he did. My mum was a Jane of all trades. She could do anything. If you asked her to make that turban, she'd look at it, she'd go, let me steal with the eye. And she'd just be passionate about everything. You know, my siblings, alhamdulillah, they are all so fortunate and so successful that growing up and being the baby of the family, I had such big shoes to fill. So my eldest brother always says, you either have big shoes to fill or stinky shoes. So I said, I'll take the big ones rather, you know.
I love that.
And being inspired by these strong individuals has given me the gumption to just be passionate about everything you do. And I believe that if you are that way, that you never work a day in your life.
Absolutely. But being someone who's so young, when someone sits with you, your wisdom and your insight,
You've got to stop calling
I
me a
have
baby.
to say that.
You've got to stop calling me a baby.
But hear me out. Your wisdom and insight completely betrays the age that you're at, because there's a level of an old soul and a maturity that comes with it, and it's delightful to actually see that, because you have a very directed purpose and you seem to be somebody who knows exactly where she wants to go. So for many people out there watching who are budding entrepreneurs, people who are saying, I'm just on it, I'm not 100% certain, and who always question, and I think as women we always question, am I in the right space, am I doing the right thing? And here you are, a very self-assured woman who knows exactly where she wants to be.
The secret to that, Zaheerah, is actually just never saying no and challenging yourself, you know. I think the most important thing for me is I would walk into a meeting and someone would ask me the most obscure thing. I remember back in 2009, 2010, with the build-up of FIFA and Blue Blood did the child-friendly spaces for UNICEF and FIFA, and it was an amazing project. And I'd walk into a boardroom and my team would be with me, and they'd ask us to get a helicopter with a lion on it at 3 o'clock in the morning, just an example. And I'd go, sure, done.
We'll make it happen.
Absolutely, it's done, consider it done. And we'd walk out of there and my team would look at me with tears in their eyes and go, what have you just done? And I'd say, relax, calm down.
We'll make
We're
it work.
strong, independent, courageous people. We're courageous women. I had a lovely team of women around me, actually. And I just said to them, let's put our minds to this. It is the 21st century. We can get anything done that we want to get done. And having that attitude in life, just having a purposeful, courageous attitude where you don't stop and think, oh, there's a boundary there, or oh, I'm going to fall over. If you do, hit that boundary, break it open. If you do fall over, dust yourself off or pick up that dust with you, because it has a story to tell, you know, and just move forward. I think Allah puts everything in your path for a reason, for a season sometimes, but definitely just for a reason. And in saying that, everything and every obstacle and every person we meet in our lives is there with a purpose. You know, it's very close to that adage about the man asking for help, and Allah sends him a bus, a plane, a train, and then he gets to the pearly gates and he goes, hey, what happened? And Allah says, but I've sent you all these things, you know. That's why the advancements of technology, medicine, all these amazing things that are going on around us, we forget, and we kind of looking at it going, oh, this is overwhelming, but we forget. It is God sent.
Absolutely. And the miracles, and what I start from what I'm getting from what you're saying is that there's miracles in every moment, in every single day. And what I love about that attitude is I often say that with men, if they are given an opportunity business-wise, even if they have no idea about the field, they jump in head first. And we women tend to say, let me first figure it out and then I'll go in. And I love your attitude saying, just get in there and then you figure it out while you're there.
No, look, I'm not indispensable. Trust me. Right in the beginning, okay, so I studied a bit of psychology, a bit of law, a bit of commercial law, a bit of this, a bit of that, and then that kind of gave me insight into the different fields that were my passions. Because right in the beginning, I wanted to be a politician.
I think you'd still do well at that.
Well, Commonwealth kind of gives me that platform, so that does flow into my passions. But a dear friend of mine said to me, listen, it's a beat 'em or join 'em game, and you will want to beat everyone or beat 'em up. So I said, okay, let's venture off. And definitely, you know, myself personally, I had that in the beginning where I said, okay, I need to first study this, and I have to first have a degree in that, and I have to have the knowledge of. And then I kind of came upon an opportunity where I started doing gifting for different corporate companies. And I just had this never say no attitude. Just don't ever say no. Just do it. Be it. Work the hours. I used to work 36 hours sometimes. You know, but as I say, I have amazing parents, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And they were really the backbone, staying up with me, pulling ribbons at 3 o'clock in the morning, making sure the little, what do you call this, ostrich eggs were perfectly placed so they wouldn't break or crack. And it's just about having the opportunity to be absolutely positive.
Perfect. Before we go for an ad break, I have to ask you very quickly, how do you balance motherhood with being a wife and work? And when we come back, we're going to talk about the work that you do. Okay,
so motherhood, I have the most amazing little girl. She is the heart and soul and sunshine of my life. Alhamdulillah. Serena Ilahi, which means peace of Allah.
Alhamdulillah, that's beautiful.
And she is absolutely my peace. I find that the more love you give her, the more she just gives back 100 times more.
Fantastic.
So motherhood is just being an absolute blessing to me. Being a wife and being married to your husband, my husband often says he sleeps with the boss. But in saying that, it's a very difficult dynamic, but it's a very challenging one. And it's brilliantly challenging.
I love that. And I think the name is synonymous with having that peace in your life, because that's exactly what portrays and exudes when you're around Shaista as well. Stay tuned. When we come back after the ad break, we're going to be speaking about the South African chapter of the Commonwealth Businesswoman in Africa. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the last segment. We're speaking to the very dynamic director of Commonwealth Businesswoman Africa, Blue Blood Entertainment, and also the head of the South African chapter for Commonwealth. We have to go very quickly into this because I've been absorbed by just finding out more about you. I'm always so impressed with dynamic Muslim women who are making great strides, and you are definitely one of them. Shaista, tell me about the South African chapter of the Commonwealth Businesswomen's Group.
Okay, so Commonwealth Businesswoman Africa, together with South Africa and all our wonderful 18 chapters across Africa, which is soon to be 19. Gambia is going to be initiated into the Commonwealth in April at Chogam, which is the Commonwealth Heads of Government, which coincides with the Queen's birthday as well. So people are going to remember that. But coming down to it, Commonwealth Businesswoman South Africa as well as Africa is all about empowering women. Mm-hmm. It is about the diversification of women's liberation. Mm-hmm. It is so important that women today really encompass what they are as women. So the fundamentals of Commonwealth is the 3 T's, which is training, trade, and talent. Mm-hmm. Now we know every woman is talented.
Absolutely.
This platform gives them the opportunity to focus on that, to showcase that. We give the opportunity of training. So if you don't know how to do something, our platform gives you that. It enables you. The platform is going to be called WWN, which is World Women's Network.
I love that.
It is such a beautiful platform. Zaheerah, it's so devastating to know that we've gone throughout the African countries that fall within the Commonwealth, and we've done a lot of surveys with all the ambassadors. And in doing so, some say, yes, please, bring your training, bring your trade, bring your talent. And others say, please come and teach my girls how to just be a young lady. Teach them the essence of femininity. The essence of femininity. How to be from a young girl to a young lady to a woman. Teaching them that. that is heartbreaking.
That is, because it's something we take so much for granted, that it just happens and that we just know what to do.
Absolutely. Between your daughters and my daughters, they're just these little busybodies that go on and have mummy's support, and they just know everything before we even do, with the internet these days. But the Commonwealth really is going to be a driving force for women. We're going to be lobbying governments. We're going to be lobbying the private sector to come on board and really empower women. Don't talk about it. Time's up. All the hashtags are there.
Do it.
Oprah's spoken about it. All the Bollywood, Hollywood, Nollywood, South African social, what do you call that?
Absolutely. It's exhausted. But now, we have many women who are watching this, who are entrepreneurs. Some are exceptionally dynamic and already in their careers very far ahead. Some are just starting off. We have young people, we have older people. Does this platform account for all of them?
Absolutely. So it takes the mums who are at home. It takes the young girls who are making soap, the mums who are making pastries and samosas and achars and all of that, all the way through to the Zaheerah Bham Ismails of iTREND, the Shaista Osmans of Blue Blood, all the way to the biggest banking CEOs, mining, infrastructure, development, all. It is all encompassing. And that is why we call this World Women's Network, because it is for the world, for women, and it is our network. We need to start networking with each other and really start talking, having conversations about what is pertinent. How do we take what we have and take it out there to the world? That's the platform.
You mentioned earlier about touching different aspects of Africa. What happens with people that are in the rural areas? Do they still have the same access to the same platform and to the same facilities that you're offering to women that are in corporate or in the home industries? What about those women that are saying, you know what about me? I'm left here on the side.
Not at all. They're not left on the side. And this is the beauty of it. This is the beauty of it. If I come to think about it, the humble beginnings of all our mothers, like I said, selling pastries, to the home confectionaries of the home chefs that they are called now, and home executives, they are not left on the sideline anymore, because every single person has a cell phone. And that's all you need. You need a cell phone, a little bit of data. Come onto the app, come onto the website, visit us, become a member, see all the endless opportunities. There's talent, there's training. We are looking to have free educational training on this platform.
Fantastic.
Free educational training. So a mum in a rural area can take her phone and teach her little one. There is going to be no barrier to access for the most basic human thing as teaching.
Fantastic. Shaista, it's been such a pleasure having you in studio. I wish we had far more time, but we do hope to follow your journey and actually come out and see the work that you are doing on your chapter as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'd love to have you with us.
Fantastic. We're always surrounded by the most dynamic women, inspirational women who keep teaching us about pushing forward. As Shaista mentioned, break down those barriers, break down those boundaries, pick yourself up with that dust and make it work for you. They are providing a platform for women all across South Africa, all across Africa, to be able to do so many things besides just networking. It's trade, it's talent, it's education. Let's make the most of it. Let's utilize this. We will be giving you Shaista's social media handles. You're welcome to call into our producers and they will get you in touch with her as well. Make the most of the women in our community who are willing to break down those barriers with you, who are willing to hold your hand as you break down those barriers. Thank you so much for joining us on air today. I look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام